Well, he gone.
This is the Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by Golden's Cast Iron. C-Dub, Ike Jones, Be Will, Mike G. You are now listening to
The Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. The summer may be over, but the fall is here. That means great weather. Good time to be outside by Golden's Cast Iron Grill or staying in shape with some Golden's Cast Iron weights. Work out, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. We are hot on the scoop at the War Rapport. Big news today that we're going to talk about. Sign up as a patron to make sure that you get your news first here from the War Rapport. $5.99 a month will get you there. We may not have a football coach anymore, guys. Well, we got one, but we're still going to be on the road. Ike is headed out to Vanderbilt to cover the Auburn Tigers under what presumably will be interim coach somebody. We'll talk about that later on the show, but sign up as a member. We appreciate everyone who does this. I want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORTER. Get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. Our guy Richard, longtime sponsor of the show. We appreciate him for sponsoring this segment. Check us out on podcasts, all the podcast platforms. We are there bringing you lots of great audio only content. So please go over to your favorite podcast platform, subscribe, turn on automatic downloads, and leave us a review. That helps us out in the algorithm. We appreciate you guys for helping us climb the podcast charts. Let's jump into the show, fellas.
Yeah, we are here. As been reported by multiple sources now, we confirmed this earlier today. Mike G has been on this story since the moment the game ended yesterday. Hugh Freeze has stepped down, or have been asked to step down as the head coach of Auburn football. And yeah, we're here to talk about it. This is not a surprise to anyone who has been following this situation. I think the frustrations collectively of both the Auburn brass and faithful that show up continuously to sell out that venue that has become an easy dub for SEC opponents over the last few years, boiled over to a place where it was unacceptable any longer. And we're here to talk about it. Mike G, just kind of give us the last, it's noon right now, so maybe like the last 14 hours of your life and how all of this transpired.
Well, obviously, we've got amazing sources, and news started to trickle in that there was a team meeting. There was some conflicting information about whether there was actually a team meeting. I can tell you that the players were told to report to the athletic department at 1:15 Central today. So in about 35 minutes, if my math is correct, they are going to be have a meeting where I assume we will be told that DJ Durkin is going to be the interim head coach of this program, and they're going to initiate a search for a head coach. So they are reporting today to get the news officially, I think, from the athletic director. Guys, this had to happen. This had to happen. The other aspect of this was, there a lot of news outlets reporting that he was fired, which in a very technical sense he was. But the wheels on this started turning after Missouri, where he was asked to step. They offered him a reduced buyout. And, a lot of the things that we have been saying on this show about how he's doing his job, I think started to catch up with him, if I'm being honest. And the university felt like he has not lived up to the contract stipulation. So they were like, look, man, we're not paying you your whole buyout. You're going to have to accept something reduced. He rejected the first offer, which I'm being told was $8 million after the Missouri game. And then after the Kentucky loss last night, accepted a reduced buyout of $6.5 million to step down and avoid litigation. They were ready to go to legal war over this. This is how strongly the university felt about the things that led to the pathetic offense that we saw here. So Those are the details we have at this time. Hugh Freeze is no longer the head coach at Auburn. We have not gotten an official press release from the university yet on who will be interim. I assume that's going to come in as we're speaking right now, and we'll get that out to you guys at the time. So this was, I was done after Missouri. I had hope, but I was done after Missouri, and it seems that Don Cohen, I told you guys he was quiet and he was missing from these press conferences, and he was missing from the normal things that I see him at. Now, he was popping up at practice here and there, sure, but Hugh Freeze repeatedly saying, I have not spoken to my AD after these losses was telling. It wasn't nothing. We reported on it ad nauseum. So, this had to happen. This team, it was too good. You lost the game 10-3. Well, your defense, again, does a stellar job holding the opposing team to a total that you should be able to exceed with the amount of talent that you have offensively. And I keep a lot of the reasoning that people had for Hugh Freeze remaining the head coach, guys, was, well, we got to hold this roster together. They had now faced a point where keeping him actually was going to be a detriment to holding this roster together. So this had to happen. They had to get rid of him because these players were starting to be out on the process. They weren't putting them in a position to succeed offensively.
Yeah, it had gotten to a point where I think everybody had just, listen, I think I held on the longest of anybody possible, holding out hope that there was going to be some sort of change. And it never happened. It was the most mind-blowing thing to watch a coach repeat his same mistakes week in and week out and think that if he just delivered the message differently we're just going to repackage the same broken offense and put it out there and hope people I did not understand it. And it came to a point where it's like, okay, you don't get it. I don't think you see that this is a problem that you need to fix. So we'll have to do this for you. And again, listen, I will own up to the fact I thought this was a home run hire when it happened. I was out here like, yes, this is exactly what the Auburn brass needed. They got their guy who was going to be one of them, who they could get behind 100%. And he's got the offensive pedigree. He just needs to hire a good defensive coordinator. He went out and did that from the jump with Ron Roberts. I was like, he's great. And then he gets to Auburn and loses his mind. I don't understand it. I fully don't understand it. I'm not happy today. I know a lot of people are happy. I'm glad that this saga is done, but there's a lot. We're really far away from being where we need to be as a program at Auburn University, and they've got a lot of figuring out that they need to do between figuring out who the guys are that are going to be bought in for the next process and figuring out who's going to lead those young men into the next wave of whatever it's going to be for Auburn sports, or here particularly with Auburn football.
Yeah, look. Hold
on. Caesar, go ahead. I know you were trying to jump in.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Like you, Ike, I was very excited about this hire because I saw the success Hugh Freeze has had at every stop he's been. This is the first place that he has coached that he hasn't had any semblance of success. He made Liberty a relevant program as far as successful G5 programs are concerned. He had some success at Ole Miss, but when you actually take a closer look, and I actually did this a week or so ago, Mike, I talked about it with you. In 8 of his 13 seasons that he's coached as a head coach, he has had losing streaks of at least 3 games. In 8 of the 13 seasons he's coached, the signs were there, but looking at it through orange and blue glasses, you was hoping that at the very least you could resurrect a struggling offense. That was the hope. If Auburn just had some offense, because Auburn's defense has been good for a while now. If you can just resurrect the offense, Auburn can compete and actually win its fair share of games. Then you saw him recruit lights out from the moment he touched down. The recruiting wins that he secured with Keldrick Falk. I remember Ike's excitement when he was covering signing day and got word that Auburn flipped him from FSU. Kayan Lee. Like we saw immediately this guy go out and win on the recruiting trail and get guys who had pretty much passed on Auburn because of the previous coaching staff. There was optimism. I remember when Mike G was down at Auburn. I think it was after the big recruiting weekend that they have, and during the summer. I'm trying to remember what it. I forget, but
come on, when Perry Thompson did the whole
Thompson jumping into the pool, all that, and I remember the optimism there. There was hope there. People were hopeful because we were seeing things we haven't seen at Auburn in quite some time. Auburn was winning on the recruiting trail, so it has to evolve into winning on the field, right? And then came Texas A&M after the Oklahoma game this season. And I'm not judging this year in a vacuum. This is why I'm kind of mixed. I'm kind of mixed on this. Like I am I'm more relieved. It's not that I'm not happy. I'm relieved. Because Hugh Freeze basically punted on year one. And in a sense, punted on year two when he decided to keep Peyton Thorne as his QB. Again, Peyton Thorne wasn't the problem. He had his flaws, but he wasn't the problem. But you were determined that you were going to fix this when you decided to keep Peyton Thorne in your offense, and we got a worse result in year two. All signs pointing to year three as a year that things would turn around. Then came Texas A&M. And instead of appearing as though I felt we were close after Oklahoma. A&M showed me we were not close at all. A&M showed me that just when you think Auburn may be turning the corner, Auburn takes several steps back offensively. And it was a similar thing against Kentucky. Now we have context as to why they looked as bad, because obviously you're checked out if you're being asked to take a buyout weeks prior. That makes sense now. So I'm relieved that this nightmare is over and that Auburn can move forward. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, like I said, no news yet on who is interim. I think a lot of people assuming it's going to be Durkin. As far as I know, he's the only person on the staff with any head coaching experience. But
yeah, I mean, if it's not Durkin, it doesn't make any sense. So.
Yeah, it wouldn't make a lot of sense to me if it wasn't him. But we don't have that official as of now. As I mentioned, no official release from the university on this news. So the meeting with Cohen happened at noon Central today, where he went into Cohen's office. And our sources tell me there was a short conversation, but as far as I know, the official, the deal went down last night after the game. This is the right time. This is the right time for this. And I know there was some hesitancy by a lot of people about Auburn entering the coaching market at this point with so many other high-profile jobs open. But you can't. I don't think that was a reason to wait on this decision if, again, the reasons that they're deciding to move on are what we think they are. This is in part wasn't just about wins and losses. It was about culture. It was about process. And we had been feeding you guys hints of the stuff that had been happening inside that program offensively. We told you offensive and defensively, like two different football teams. Defensively, they were tuned in, man. They were organized. Durkin was detailed. His guys knew their assignment. He's a hard ass. Offensively, not showing up to meetings that coaches normally show up to. A lot of confusion, adding plays to the call sheet late in the week. Things that were causing confusion and players were unclear on what their job was on Saturday. It happened last year. It happened the first year. And when people said, oh, but wait until we get the recruiting class in, I said, no. There's something fundamentally wrong with the process. And he's blaming players for things that I feel are coaching. Now we're 2 years later and everybody's saying, oh man, I get it. And I'm like, yeah, that was the issue. You threw a lot of good players under the bus 2 years ago. They may not have been Cam Coleman, but they were good enough to be better than the record that they had in those years. A lot of folks owe Payton Thorne an apology, man. He was a better quarterback than he ended up being here by the numbers. And he fought with his head coach week in and week out over process. So, like I said, I'm going to put out a written article on all of this, kind of organizing the timeline and the detail. You can look out for that at thewarreport.com. But this was the time to do this. I don't think you could have waited. And the scene last night, if you saw my Twitter, I posted a video of thousands of people who stayed like Auburn had won the game to celebrate just to chant "Fire Hugh." That, to me, was the end in my mind. I was just, no way. There's no way that this AD, who has been quiet for the last 3 weeks, could get in front of anybody and say, yes, we still believe in Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
That message wasn't going to carry, and I think that the fans made their voice heard last night. And an incredible scene watching them chant "Fire Hugh." Just too little offense, 3 points versus one of the worst defensive teams in the league.
And again, like I agree with everybody because I've seen the comments about, the players didn't show up and do what they needed to do, and Kentucky manhandled and blah, blah, blah. Bro, I have seen teams with inferior talent come with superior game plans and find ways to manufacture yards and points. So I'm not sitting here today upset at 3 points because the players didn't show up. I didn't see anything that looked like a semblance of a plan to adjust to what they were seeing, to figure out how to overcome, to switch. The only thing they switched out was the quarterback. And the reason you gave for switching the quarterback out was because he was more elusive somehow. The guy who's taken more sacks than any Auburn quarterback in the last decade or something, he was more elusive in the pocket somehow. So you switched to him? It made no sense. Like, at some point in time, you have to say, bro, what are you seeing? What are you thinking? And again, I gave this man the benefit of doubt at every single turn. Oh, well, this, and again, I still am not one of those people who's like, oh, the RPO is broken. No, but if you have somebody who's not teaching it right, it'll never get right. If you have somebody who is out there not calling effective plays to supplement it, it's never going to be right. And they just never found a way to adjust and pivot to say, okay, well, we can't do this. Rather than change something up, we'll just strip things away. That's not how you improve as an offense over the season. It's not, and year over year, you just never figured it out. The evaluation of quarterback and the handling of the quarterback rooms has been abysmal. Like, there's just, it's not been good. You have not handled the quarterback situation right from the moment you got here, first day presser, talking about I can win with these guys, and then subsequently use absolutely none of them and go get Payton Thorne from the transfer portal, and then don't use him right. You turn him into a running quarterback the first year when that's not his strength. And then you move forward and double down on him and still figure out how to mess that up. I don't get it. I don't understand.
While talking a big game, just at SEC Media Days, I expect Auburn to be in the playoff contention, and you have chaos in your program. How do you even talk with that level of confidence? Do you know what's going to happen?
Right.
That is insane to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Look, this was a win for Auburn. If they really were, again, I confirmed through a couple sources, if they were able to negotiate this buyout down from $16 million, potentially we have a buyout that we could just write one check for and just be like, all right, one payment and you're done. in 30 days. We'll have to write you because we're still paying Gus and Harsin.
I think Gus is done now.
Is Gus done?
Yeah,
I hope so. Good
I hope
God.
so. Yeah, I hope we're done paying buyouts, but I know we're still paying Harsin. So that would be cool if they could get this one in just one swoop. Like $6 million, Yellowwood could come up with that like that, right? I bet you he wrote that check happily. I know we got some super chats to get here too. Again, I just want to reiterate for everybody just joining the live stream, no official word from the university yet, but we have confirmed he went into a meeting with John Cohen at noon Central today. The team is set to meet in about 15 minutes at the Walthouse Performance Center, where I assume they will be informed of the decision that to move on from Hugh Freeze. No announcement on who will be interim. I'm assuming that the players will be informed first at that meeting. We'll still be live at that time, so I will bring you that news live here. If you are watching this and you know a friend who is not watching, tell them to tune into the War Rapport right now. We're getting the details as they come. I don't want to brag, but we were way ahead of this story since last night, and we'll continue to be ahead of this story as news continues to come in. Look, for what it's worth, I do want to say that I'm appreciative of Coach Freeze for the time that he gave us, same as Harsin, right? He gave us one-on-one time where we could sit down and ask him questions about the program. He gave us access, and he was gracious with his time to us. I'd give it all back for a 10-win season.
In retrospect, Mike, you probably could have gotten a couple hours from him if you had those meetings on the golf course.
Should have invited him to golf.
If you had organized to interview him while golfing, you could have gotten 2 or 3 hours worth of content from him.
Yeah. There was somebody who put something out on Twitter that he had a standing tee time at 1:30 that was canceled. Yeah, they put like a literal thing.
I saw it.
Did you see that? Yeah.
Part of his contract was that he was going to be able to get all this stuff for
public?
free from the golf course. Then they probably would they went in and canceled his stuff, and it's like you had to pay for it. And there's no way he's showing up at the golf course today.
Yeah, and them people at the golf courses, like while you're losing, they're not keeping your secrets, right? Because in my mind, I'm like, are they violating some kind of like customer privacy thing? Putting out his tee.
That's why I'm like, this doesn't even feel real that you can have this information so public.
I did. I was iffy on that one, fellas. But look, man, as I mentioned, at the end of the day, this had to happen. We want to hear from you guys. Jump into the comments right now. Make sure that you get your voices heard on this firing. Like I said, I felt like it had to happen a few weeks ago, and it is now just happening, and it's unbelievable that we're here. It's absolutely unbelievable that we're here with all this talent. They did such Kenyatta Watson and Will Campbell and those guys. They did such an awesome job getting talent here. Can't stress enough what a great job they did getting talent to the Plains. And we just wasted it. This was a wasted season, and now you have to resell to all that talent and probably drop a bunch of dollars to say, hey, guys, we're going to come up with a plan for you guys offensively to get you the coaching and to get you a coach who knows what to do with your talent. I know a lot of people don't want it, but I really hope they give Durkin a shot at this job.
I think so. If you are of the mindset that Auburn needs to keep as many of the players on this current team intact, I think DJ Durkin is the only coach that allows you to do that. Because I think a vast majority of the defensive personnel will leave if Durkin is not the defensive coordinator, regardless of how good the new DC is. Because Durkin's going to get another job somewhere, right? Like, it's not as if when he leaves Auburn, DJ Durkin is going to
he'll be the hottest commodity and assistant coach.
He was the hottest commodity last year.
Right.
Ohio State.
He 100% will get hired somewhere. And so at this point in time, there's a couple of things that would put you in a place where you can keep these guys. And I don't want option number 2, right? So option number 1 is what I just laid out. DJ Durkin becomes the head coach. He finds someone who he trusts to be his defensive coordinator and retains the rest of the defensive staff that he has. And those players stay connected to Durkin and that staff because they are a quality defensive staff, both from an on-the-field coaching perspective, recruiting perspective, all of those things line up, right? The other option that you would have is that you hire a different head coach and you make that head coach hire DJ Durkin as the defensive coordinator. While that sounds good, again, is an option to keep a lot of those players intact, I don't like the idea of telling a head coach when they come in, you have to hire someone else. Listen, it started out kind of goofy like that with Coach Freeze. Nobody made him bring Caddy along to his staff, but it was kind of implied you need to have him on here as your associate head coach. And it kind of got off to the wrong foot from the beginning with him and Cadillac. They're doing that, right? So, and then he was kind of made to go out and hire an OC that was supposed to be, and that just never worked. And I don't think that he ever wanted it to work. So I don't think that you can bring a coach in under those types of stipulations. You need to, for the first time, let a head coach be the head coach and run his program.
Right.
And if that's DJ Durkin, great. Let him run the program. Let him figure it out. Let him hire his own offensive coordinator, put his own offensive staff together with their own philosophies. And if that loses you offensive talent, trust the guy that you hired to do the job you hired them to do.
Listen, and keep in mind, I mentioned this last night, but it's not like Auburn fired its coach in a vacuum. LSU fired their coach. Florida fired their coach. It's about to be the wild west. There's going to be talent going everywhere, guys. So if it happens, it happens. But it's not like Auburn's the only team that's going to be subject to this.
Right.
So keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think, before we get a little bit, because everybody wants to hear Mike G's story time, and we'll definitely get into that after the break. He talked a little bit
story
about
time
that
intro. Mike.
He talked a little bit about that stuff last night on the post-game live. So, if you are just itching to hear some of those stories, he did talk a little bit about some of that stuff last night towards the end of the post-game reaction show. But I want to back up and talk about the beginning of the Coach Hugh Freeze tenure, right? Because the big thing that everybody was so worried about with Coach Hugh Freeze was scandal, right? You're going to bring him in and he is going to be scandalous and something crazy is going to happen and he's going to end up getting fired for cause because he's going to do something stupid. And there was this big uproar and women are no longer safe in Auburn and all this stuff, right? The irony is that he's still gone and none of that stuff really happened. He asked people to trust him when he came in the door and he was on what most would consider his best behavior and then just didn't do the job.
Yeah.
Like, that is so baffling. The level of incomprehension that I have, is that even a word? It's incomprehensible that a man who has been waiting for this opportunity to get back into a major program, be on his best behavior, and then simply get in there and punt on the job. And not even a good punt. It was like a Hudson Cock shank punt.
I was wondering if he was going to do that, but yeah.
I don't get it. It makes no sense. Why would you lobby for something? You know what this is like? This is like that dude who wanted the fine girl forever, and he kept shooting this shot. And then when he finally convinced her, hey, let's go on a date, he ghosts her. You finally got her to agree. All right, cool. Movies, Thursday night, we gonna go kick it, blah, blah, blah. She show up to the movie theater and you don't come at all. And you keep calling her, telling her you're close.
That was nice. I like that. I like that.
Simply do not understand.
Confirmed DJ Durkin is interim head coach. Confirmed he's head coach, interim head coach. Staff was just informed.
All right. So Durkin's going to be the guy for the remainder of the season. The defense is that defense still didn't give up last night. 10 points. Now, I know Kentucky's not some juggernaut of a team, but holding any offense to 10 points when you're getting no help from Auburn started the vast majority of those possessions inside the 15, other than the interception that they got, which led to the only 3 points that they had.
Yeah, Kentucky had good field position all game and
The
won the
whole
time
game.
of possession.
And if it hadn't been for barely getting a pass over the top of the safety who was coming and them getting down into the red zone, I don't know that they scored the touchdown that they got. Auburn may have lost this game 3. Think about this. Auburn may have lost this game 3-0.
Yeah.
The defense didn't give up last. And I'm not saying the offense gave up. I don't think the offense was ever equipped with a chance last night. And even after all of the ineptitude of the game plan and the game calls, this man went into a post-game press conference and said, I hope that I get the patience to fix this. I believe I can fix this. I still believe we're close.
As if he hasn't been getting an extended amount of patience up to this point.
Like like he must have thought John Cohen his name was Job Cohen or something, bro. Like, you don't have that much patience out here in the world, brother.
Yeah, it's not, you got it, but you needed to give them a reason for patience, meaning you had 4 ranked matchups in a row: Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Georgia, Missouri. You had to win 2 of them. If you had won 2 of them, we wouldn't be here. Missouri was winnable. Oklahoma was stolen from them. Texas A&M was winnable.
Georgia
was winnable. All 4 of them were winnable. 1 was stolen, 3 you blew. But then you get past that and it's like, okay, well, can you win the ones that you're supposed to win? I'm dealing this over the UCF side right now, right? Like, what Scott Frost is doing is he's beating teams he's supposed to beat, and he's losing the teams that are clearly in a better position than him right now. So people have patience for his process because it's like, okay, these teams are better than you right now. Next year, you know what happens? That patience shrinks a little bit. And the next year, it shrinks a little bit more. And by the time you get to year 3 or 4, if you're not clearly on an upward trajectory, you're going to be on the chopping block. You're going to be on the hot seat. We're in year 3, and Auburn is not clearly on an upward trajectory in wins and losses. You were on an upward trajectory in terms of talent, sure.
Yeah.
Wins and losses? No.
And the offense and the floor seems to be getting lower.
Right. I just want to say the idea that Auburn was close was not accurate from an offensive standpoint. This offense was not close to anything you could consider consistent. Your quarterback was not close to anything you could consider consistent. Your offensive line was not close to anything you could consider consistent, and it was supposed to be one of the best offensive lines we had seen on the Plains in the last 15 years. 6 NFL grades, we were told, that these linemen potentially had. You went out and told the world that. And so, in my opinion, once you put that pressure on yourself, and he had no choice. This is why those first 2 years, why everybody was screaming, wait till we get the talent. And I'm saying, no. There's something wrong with the process. And it's going to show up no matter what level of talent you have. When you prepare bad, it affects you at all levels. And if you thought you were going to recruit so well that you could just go out there and pick your plays off of Madden 25,
that seemed to be what he thought, though. He legitimately thought, I'm going to go foolproof this offense where I can just go get the best talented players and call anything and it'll work. And that's so disrespectful to the level of talent that you're going to be playing on a consistent. That might work at Liberty, where you can just have better players than the rest of the teams, and all of these teams got 4- and 5-star dudes, man. And some of them have really good coaches that you can't do. That's not going to work, bro. You can't just out-talent everybody because these other people are talented too.
Yeah, look, when one of the trademarks of the Tuberville era were they didn't always get the 5-star players, but they got 2-star players into a 5-star process. One of my favorite stories is Jay Ratliff. One of the guys that like nobody was really after, came to Auburn, did his thing. And I remember I filmed his pro day, and the scouts kept talking about how well he used his hands, leveraged with his hands as a defensive lineman. Jay went on to be an NFL Pro Bowler. The Dallas Cowboys. I think he played with the Bears and like one other team.
Yeah.
They had that process. Like, look, I don't care for his politics, but as a football coach, I was a Tuberville guy. And I'll tell you, like Caesar, you probably remember this story, but when we were in school, there was a fight that broke out between the basketball players and the football players at a party. My roommate came home and said, Mike, I know you cool with the football players, but these dudes came and they shot up the party, and there was bullet holes in the car next to my head. And I was like, Terrell, you tripping, bro? Like, what's good? He was like, I think they're gonna come after me because I'm cool with the basketball team. So I go talk to a friend who is dating a certain Auburn football player. I'm just gonna leave his name out of the story. And she comes to me and she's like, Mike, I'm worried about X player. And I was like, what's going on? He's like, he talking about they about to go shoot up the basketball team. And I was like, all right, so my basketball buddy says that he's worried. My football friend says her man is getting ready to go get the Glocks, get the gat, and they about to shoot each other up. So I went into the athletic department. I told my boss, get the get. I went and told my video boss at the time, his name was Brian Williams. I said, Coach, I said, boss, I got to tell you something. But I got to tell you, I wasn't there, but the person who told me, I believe. And I told him everything that was happening. Look, the basketball coaches and Tuberville staff they all called team meetings separately. And they sat the football players down and they said, there were some prominent people in that meeting on that team. They said, I want the names of everybody who was at that party right now. We have a list. You stand up and identify yourself, or we're yanking scholarships. I don't care if you're Caddy or Ronnie Brown. If you were there, stand up. People who stopped by the party for like 3 minutes were just standing up, and they were like, oh my God, like, Coach, I swear I wasn't involved. So I'm sitting in the foyer like 2 days later, and everybody wants to know who snitched, but they didn't know it was me. They didn't know it was me. And oddly enough, they were blaming Rose Green. I don't know if he had a snitching reputation. They were like, I bet you it was that dude Rose Green. He always snitching. And I was like nervously eating my soup. I was like, they're going to kill me if they find out they're going to shake me out of my camera tower. But that staff was playing no games. If you were going to openly go out and do some dumb stuff, they were going to cut you. They had high standards for behavior. Remember, they sent Mayo Sowell packing. Excellent football player, always in trouble. The accountability was there in every single process in the way they practice. You can't run 2-a-days like this anymore. But Tuberville would take those guys out to the intramural fields where you and Ike and I played many intramural sports. And they said, we're going to practice until somebody passes out or throws up. Because you guys are not going to be pussies on Saturday. The stuff that they did is literally illegal now, but they made men out of boys every single 2-a-days. I watched it. King Dunlap came on the show and just talked about him coming to practice, being a little hoe, and Ben Grubb jumped on him and just started hitting him to toughen him up. King refutes the butt whooping, but he says my brother was holding me accountable. They had accountability, man, but it started with that coaching staff. I'm telling you. They learned that from their coaches. What are these players offensively learning from their coach? Show up when you want. Come to meetings when you want. Just because you're talented, that's enough. We're going to get to story time here after the break, but I'm telling you that I can only imagine that after Missouri, some of these details start to trickle up to John Cohen. If he was doing his job, in my mind, I never say anything to John. We talk often, but I was like, there's no way I'm hearing all this and he's not hearing any bit of it. But after the losses start to pile up, you start to dig.
Yeah.
Why are we here?
Well, it was a culmination of a lot of stuff, and we're going to talk about some.
We're going to talk about how we got here. Story time with Mike.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to get to our break right here. We're going to get to your comments, and then we'll give a few anecdotes from the 2.5-year saga that was the freeze warning that is finally lifted from the plains. You are watching the Weekend Tailgate. Make sure that you share the content with somebody, like the video if you haven't already. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Let's get to this break. We'll be right back.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
The Rage Room. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Set up a session today at one of the 2 great locations in Opelika or Birmingham by visiting opelikarageroom.com or birminghamrageroom.com.
Guys, you know the deal. Want to thank our title sponsor, Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use the codes on the screen to get your discount on your Golden's Cast Iron products today. We appreciate them for sponsoring this segment. I want to thank our friends at setsforsociety.ai. If you are wanting to know yourself a little better, understand how you think, how those around you think, or maybe you want to do a group project and you guys are wanting to be of like mind to achieve like goals, Sets for Society can help you with their custom personality assessments so that help you achieve just that. Visit setsforsociety.ai today to get your custom personality assessment started now. Just fill out the form. They'll reach out and do the rest. We have taken these assessments at the War Rapport. I can tell you they were dead on. They nailed us completely. So if you want to learn more about yourself, I highly suggest this. It would be a great thing to do. Come back and tell us how it went. I want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. If you're in the Columbus, Phoenix City area and you're looking to get fresh for the weekend, visit the Vibe Vault. Not just barbers, a lifestyle consultants. Want to thank our friends at AIMA. That's AIM and Associates. If you are looking for a responsible, dependable financial fiduciary, and if you don't know what a fiduciary is, that is someone who is bound by law to do what is in their client's best interest. It's the only type of financial advisor you should be talking to. AIM and Associates is the place for you. Most firms won't even talk to you unless you have a certain amount of money to invest. But Abel's Iannone More and Associates takes a different approach. There's no minimum, and you can get a complimentary review of your portfolio or retirement plan before you ever become a client. Why no minimums? Because AIMA doesn't measure relationships by how profitable they are. Many clients that don't meet the minimum requirements at other firms are the exact people that need the most guidance, and AIMA is committed to making a difference for each of their relationships. It's all about honest fiduciary guidance from a team that has been serving clients for more than 20 years. Call AIMA at 912-777-4128 or scan the QR code on the screen or visit aiminc.com. Advice built for real life, not just the wealthy. The War Rapport has been compensated by Abel's Iannone More and Associates for this endorsement. Abel's Iannone More and Associates is a SEC registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. Guys, check us out on podcasts, every single podcast platform. We are there with lots of great audio only content. We appreciate our community for signing up, for turning on automatic downloads, and for leaving us a review. This helps us a ton to climb the podcast charts. I know there are a lot of places you can go for your Auburn content, but everyone who comes here, almost 1,200 people on live, we appreciate every single one of you in a way that you probably just don't understand. It's a blessing to be able to do this and to bring you this community and information, and we want to continue to do that. We ask you to do a lot of things, but just sign up and listen, and that's enough most of the time. So we appreciate you guys for doing that. Gift a membership or two. Hit that gifted membership button. Help us grow our green name game. We still got some football left to play. Auburn can still make a bowl game, guys. Like DJ Durkin is interim head coach. Let's get behind him. Join our community and help make our voice loud. We want DJ to be successful in the time that he is interim head coach. And if Auburn makes the extra step of making him head coach permanently, then I'm going on record right now saying I support that too. So help us amplify the voice of everybody who wants to see that happen by signing up and gifting a membership.
All right, let's get into the comment section. A lot of super chats in here. We'll try to get through these as quickly as we can. Exclusive TV says, I need an "Oh, so I told you so" from B. Will.
Yeah, I mean, me and B. Will were out on the hire from the jump. I was not in. I was not. It wasn't. I supported him once he was in, but I thought Auburn could have made a better hire.
Well,
The
you're not
hire
wrong.
felt desperate. It felt desperate to me, and I didn't have to be desperate. But also, I do want to add, there were Harsin had more support from coaching circles than fans acted like. I know people love it was popular and trendy to make fun of Harsin on social media, but it was widely believed in coaching circles that he got screwed and never had a chance here.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Aaron Finney. So, Mike, we're gonna have some stories you heard. Yes, we'll get into some of those here in a minute. Cleveland Brown. This show should have taken place 2 weeks ago, but here we are and freezes out. Best
tried. They tried.
Yeah.
Best going
Apparently they tried, right?
They tried.
I know Brandon Marcello is reporting that Freeze is receiving his entire buyout. That's not the information I have. We'll see what's true here. I think in a day or two, but I reported honestly what got reported to me. So we'll see what happened. But I hope we were able to save some money.
Walt says Cignetti's buyout is only $15 million. Walt ready to drop $15 million to go get a new coach before you even. What would so? Okay,
if that's true, then teams are coming.
Say what?
If that's true, then teams are coming after him. Then
right. So if $15 million is the buyout, what would they need to pay him annual? So you have to buy him out from Indiana. Plus, what would you have to pay him to come coach at Auburn?
Yeah, I would like the way the market is. Like,
what is he making right now at Indiana with his new contract?
Kirk Cignetti?
Yes, because he just renegotiated a contract with an extension.
Right now, Kirk Cignetti is making approximately $93 million through 11.6 million per year.
Right. So you're going to probably have to pay $15 million to buy him out, plus pay him $12 million per year minimum to come coach. Right. So you're talking about $27 million off the rip to him.
I wonder if there's no offset in his contract about his buyout if he gets in the.
He literally just renegotiated this like a couple of weeks
ago. October of 2025.
Yeah, after he beat Oregon, I think.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I just don't. I mean, that's a lot of money to have to put up. You're talking about close to $30 million for that new coach, which again, I don't know if you're going to get a quality coach that is going to not be something like that. Like there's not a lot of good coaches that are just sitting around not employed.
If you don't, if you're able to do what you're able to do at a place where they're just happy as all get out to have you, you overachieve.
Oh, Cignetti's a great coach. Like this is not about his coaching ability.
No. Yeah, I'm just saying you're at Indiana. They're like, hey man, we're still trying to figure out what's going on with basketball, but we appreciate what you're doing. Here's $93 million. Hope this makes you happy. Dude, stay over there.
Cignetti will receive a $500,000 base salary outside of marketing and promotional income, $9.65 million starting December 1st, 2025. He will also receive an annual $1 million retention bonus, pushing his salary during the first full salary term to $11.5 million. If he stays on campus, the contract is scheduled to increase by $100,000 every year. The retention bonus also increases to $1.25 million in 2029 if he is still at the school. His contract is fully guaranteed, including retention bonuses.
Fully guaranteed contract is crazy.
Should Indiana fire him, he is subject to offset language, meaning that any job he took after getting fired would count against the money owed to him.
So they would still have to pay him
until he gets rehired.
Well, that specifies if he's fired. If he leaves, I don't know if that applies.
You have to buy him out of that contract.
I'm like, what is that? So what does all of that entail?
If Cignetti left for another job, he would owe $15 million over the next year, $12 million in 2027, 2028, $9 million.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
All right. Okay.
It's 15 for the first year.
Yes.
12 million from 2027 to 2028, 9 million from 20.
Yeah, no one's coming after him. No.
He's done. He's done. Yeah. Him leaving is
a big buyout. 15 million the first year, but over the course of those next few years. So you would have to pay him enough money that he'd feel comfortable paying his own buyout, or you're going to have to pay that buyout annually for him.
Yeah. He'd have to try to get fired. He'd have to try to get fired rather than leaving. So he
And
won't
he'd
have to
have
walk
to do
into
that
there.
right after renegotiating if you want him to be. That's not happening.
Yeah, he have to go into the athletic department and whip it out. Try to get fired immediately.
Which would make him toxic to hire anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're done, bro. Like,
Right,
yeah.
Right.
No, yeah, we
Right.
can scratch Cignetti off that list right now.
Yeah, I don't think that's
Tim the Tool Main says, Mike, you're gonna have a solo string for these stories. Intel, I gotta make sure I'm sitting down with a drink.
Yeah, I'm gonna. We're gonna have a story time, but also, there's gonna be an article on the warreport.com just kind of detailing some of these. Like, I want to respect our sources because some of them are current and former players, and I don't want them to get in trouble for the things that they shared with us. From part of the story time will be the vindictiveness of this coach. Will be part of the story time, which is why I think it's important that, in sharing, we don't jump to oversharing because it can come back around on the people who shared. So I don't want to scoop so bad that I want to get anybody in trouble. I hope everybody respects that, but there's definitely a story to tell.
So Nina, a noon meeting messed up Freeze's tea time.
It appears it did. It appears it did.
About time.
Aiden says,
Damn.
Say what?
Damn. This comment.
Hugh Freeze failed to meet the standards and expect. Ooh, I hadn't even read it yet before you said, yeah. So that's for those that don't know, that's a callback to Damari Alston, the language that they used when he was dismissed from the program. Failed to meet the standards and expectations of our program.
I spoke with Damari this morning. He is going to leave his options open. Right. So I expect him to announce that he's going to enter the portal. But, we have a relationship. I think he is going to go in and talk to the staff about the future of the program now. And if there is a path back there. So, which
tells you a lot about why he did
why he made the decision he made. I'm telling you, I did not like the word. I did not like the word quit in this situation. He knew he was living this, and he knew. Like I think it wasn't about quitting on his teammates. He stopped trusting this coaching staff with his, when the rubber hits the road and I have to make a decision between my football future and my like now all teammates are in the same position.
Right.
And he had to do what he felt like was best for him, and you just can't fault him for that. Like I get how people call that quitting. And I guess in a technical sense, he did quit if he's choosing to redshirt himself, but it doesn't mean that it was not justified and warranted.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there are legitimate reasons to step away from a situation, and I think he had a legitimate reason, right? I mean, it is what it is. Quitting is quitting, but like, not just because you step away from a situation doesn't mean that you are a selfish person necessarily. It's the best decision, maybe for both parties interested. Again, I'm not mad at what Damari did. I've said this before. Not even really mad at what the coaching staff decided to do subsequent to his decision to want to redshirt. But we'll see what happens going forward with that situation. Exclusive TV says, I forgot when coaches get fired, the portal opens. So, so what officially happens is that once a new coach is hired, there's an opportunity for them to go into the portal. They can declare themselves for the portal. They can't officially hit the portal because the portal, like, they're not going to go to a new team now, right? So,
guys, it looks like we have an official release from the university coming in. If we could pause for a second. Auburn announces football leadership change. Auburn Athletic John Cohen announced on Sunday a change in leadership for the Auburn football program. DJ Durkin will serve as interim head coach. I have informed Coach Freeze of my decision to make a change in leadership with the Auburn football program. Coach Freeze is a man of integrity, and we are appreciative of his investment in Auburn and his relentless work over the last 3 years of bolstering our roster. Our expectations for Auburn football are to annually compete for championships, and the search for the next leader of the Auburn football begins immediately.
So I like, so this has been a question from a lot of people of what is the actual standard of what Auburn football expects. He said annually compete for championships. He did not meet that. Some other things in there, I'm like, okay, but we'll talk about it. Willis said, Cadillac anywhere. I don't know. Would somebody want to translate this for me? Cadillac something anywhere.
Autocorrect just failed him.
Yeah, it happens.
I don't know where that one was going. Oh man, he came back. Okay, Cadillac isn't coaching anywhere. Got it, Willis. My bad, brother, because I didn't know what that
Yeah,
one was.
autocorrect was like, I got this.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, I mean, Cadillac's not coaching anywhere, so we can come back to the Cadillac conversation because I think that there is a conversation to be had about Carnell Williams and what happened in the wake of that. I'll just say this: he wouldn't have did any worse. I'll just say he would have did any worse.
Hey, yeah. Hindsight is always 2020.
Stephen Neely, 3 buyouts since December 2020. At what point does Auburn start paying money up front for a top tier coach? I think that has to start happening now, right? Like,
yeah,
right.
In fairness, Auburn actually dealt with a power struggle, a leadership issue. Because you got to think Auburn has been going through ADs during this time too, like during this present time. So there's a leadership issue that Auburn is trying to stabilize. You had a power struggle that resulted in Brian Harsin being here, to which people on the outside will argue and are factual. He never had a shot here at Auburn. So a lot of dysfunction going on at Auburn during this period of time, and you're hoping that it stabilizes. Go ahead, Ike.
Yeah. The issue is going to always be for not always, but what will be for Auburn for sure is it's not whether or not they're willing to pay a top tier coach. It is whether or not they're willing to pay a top tier coach and then get out of his way and let him run the program. Right. And so the reason why you end up with the coaches that you end up with is somebody still wants to pull the strings, or you try to hire somebody who's up and coming so you don't have to pay them a bunch of money and you can still kind of manipulate them a little bit to say, hey, we gave you this shot. We can take you out of this spot. Like you. So that's been the problem. It's like, I don't think it's forking over the bread because they paying buyouts left and right. It is relinquishing control. Reed says Mike always has the perfect meme up on his TV. I don't know what that is back there today.
It's Chad Baker Mazzaro with a "he gone" on his jersey.
Gotcha. Mike was right about Freeze not being either available or just didn't go to offensive meetings. You have to know what plays they're working on. Shaking my head. Black Wing says, when I watch the defense versus the offense, Durkin has them confident and the offense under Freeze is timid. Rhino Rancher says, last night was my 28th game attended under Freeze. My record, 13-15. The fans are far too loyal and passionate to deserve so much more. Glad he gone. Fire Freeze, who has been on this train for a long time. Of those of you who don't know, this is not a new screen name for this man.
The new name was what's the new name gonna be?
Yeah, I don't know. You're gonna have to change the username now. It's done. What you gonna change it back to what it was? What are we doing?
Fire
here?
Freeze finally. Finally, we got that.
Your next thing needs to be hire whoever you want to be the new coach. So that's my challenge to you, Fire Freeze, is change your screen name to hire whoever it is you want it to be. The dilemma, what to do with what my name, that's what he's saying right here. It has been mine for a while, but now that it's fulfilled, where do I go from here? War Damn Eagle, Auburn's future is bright. Keep up the good work, guys. Yeah, that's what it is. It's got to be hire whoever you want the next guy to be. Notification says John Summerall is the person that they want to be the guy.
Okay.
G Hargrove, a Kentucky fan, was cheering at this bar I was at last night when they won. I didn't even get mad. I shook his hand and then thanked them for being the reason we'll finally get rid of Hugh Freeze. One thing about that, listen, be happy with a win, because I would have been happy with any kind of win. I don't know that I would have gone as far as to cheer it, though. Like, what level of depravity is your program in that you cheer that? Man, I'm glad we got the win. For sure should have been a reaction. Cheering a 10-3 win in which you looked putrid? Kentucky fans, hopefully your basketball team is better than your result was in that last little scrimmage y'all did before y'all just got tuned up by George Washington. Because if your football program is where it is, where you're cheering a 10-3 victory versus a team that didn't fight back offensively, and your basketball program, which is the hallmark of your athletic department, is out there getting washed by George Washington, bless it. Fire Freeze gifted 10 memberships. Thank you so much. Cleveland Brown gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Joe D. Wilkins, member for 36 months, says, can't wait to hear these Mike G stories. Let's go. My guy Tez, good to see you out here in the comments. Did not get a comment with that, but appreciate the super chat. Lisa Wise, DJ's 10-15 record as head coach included an 0-8 record against ranked teams. Sound familiar? In my opinion, he's too much of a risk. I think this is there are 2 major objections that most people have with DJ Durkin as potentially being the head coach. And this is probably the biggest of those objections that people have, is his head coaching record, including his record versus ranked teams. So we will see what happens with that. Ben Bloodworth, imagine if Pat Dye's answer to how long will it take you to beat Alabama was about 3 years. It's going to take me some time to get the talent.
Should it be Alabama on 4th and 31?
Yeah, you should have beat them first.
Yeah, like, I mean, they at every meaningful moment that this team has had offensively or defense, they have failed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. And that is a result of leadership. I think that John Cohen's statement was a little gracious. But,
I mean, I didn't expect him to dunk on the man on the way out the door.
Yeah. But like, I mean, I did like,
I mean, he's done.
Yeah.
He's fired, so, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Freeze is a man of integrity. Let's get the story time here.
Smith with super chat says, I like Josh Pate's idea for Matt Campbell from Iowa State for head coach. Shouldn't be a ridiculous buyout either. Matt Campbell's a good coach. SGP010, do you think a lot of players leave, or Freeze being out of there helps retain some guys? I think that's yet to be seen. I think that it opens the door for them staying.
It helps.
Like, look, what I will say, I don't know if it'll how much it will help or hurt, because that's going to depend on the decisions that they make moving forward. But I can tell you, at this point, him staying was a detriment. Yeah, that's why Cohen is pulling this plug. He finally caught up to the fact that although they recruited well, there were a lot of hands in that pot that were responsible for the recruiting classes that Auburn had. And this coach was a detriment to retaining this offensive roster at this point. Guys, Cam Coleman, not happy.
He's not alone. Perry Thompson's not happy.
I don't know how Simmons is happy.
Look,
Malcolm Simmons is not happy. Like I can rattle off players who are very frustrated in the state of the Auburn offensive situation.
I wonder, is there an opportunity to bring Damian Craig home?
Like, I think it depends on who the head coach is. Like,
you bring in Damian Craig, you keep Cam Coleman.
It depends on who the coach is, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it super tall with y'all. I don't really care who stays or who leaves. Just bring me a coach who knows how to do something with the guys that they have. Like, if you're going to leave, okay, cool. I wish you the best of luck wherever you end up going. I am not so much concerned with, will this guy stay? Let's figure out who the guy is going to be leading them, and can they figure out what to do with whoever is left? Because let's say the cupboard empties out and you don't have any of this talent. Can that guy go produce wins with whoever they get, and then build the pedigree necessary to go get the next guy?
And I heard Josh Pate talk about the Brian Kelly firing, and he talked about how it's not just important who you hire, it's who your hires as well. And bringing in people who are not only talented, who know how to get the most out of players, but can also jive with your program is going to be key. Damian Craig was here before, and he was doing wonders recruiting, but he did not jive with Gus Malzahn at all. Right? It didn't take long at all for he was out, and he ended up back with Jimbo. So I'm with you on that, Ike. Getting someone who also knows how to hire staff and bring in people who knows how to put a competent product on the field.
Yeah, I agree with everything Ike said. I think you can do both here. I think that you can get a guy.
But my point is, I don't care.
Yeah. I do care. There's some of these kids that I want to see succeed here, and I'm upset.
I want to see them all succeed here.
So I do care that some of these guys stay and finish their careers as Auburn Tigers, because they're great kids, man. These are some great kids, and they deserve the chance to finish it where they started, man. Here
I
on
agree.
the Plains, man. I don't want to see
agree.
Cam Coleman go be great someplace else, man. I want to see him be great here. I want to see Perry Thompson be great here. I want to see every kid that stuck with Auburn when they could have hit the portal before finish it here. Because they have
I agree. I want that too. But if they choose to do something else, keep the train moving. Walt says, if Cignetti were hired away this year before November 30th, 2026, the buyout owed to Indiana would be a single payment of $15 million, not cumulative.
The article I read said that there's a whole lot of money that would be owed. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Let's see. Peyton Widgeon, kind of like pigeon with a W, I guess. Long shot, but just curious your thoughts. Gus reunion with Durkin leading the defense. FSU currently leads the country at 510 yards per game.
What's FSU's record?
I don't know. Not great.
Did they get rid of Norvell? Did he get fired?
No, he's still there.
And he's on the hot seat, but they haven't got rid of him yet.
Yeah, I think Gus might be just kind of biding his time and hoping to get the FSU job more so than coming back to Auburn as an OC. I don't know whether or not Gus Malzahn wants to be an offensive coordinator for the rest of his career. I'm gonna just keep a buck with you again. I'm not really with the retreads. Like, though I get it, he's putting up a bunch of points there in the ACC. Is he going to do that in the SEC week in and week out? I don't know. Can we turn the page on to something?
A lot of SEC coaches out there still got a lot of film on Gus, so just take that as you will.
Mr. Gibson, what was said between Arnold and Thorne? Between Arnold and Thorne? Oh, you're talking about what Mike just said.
Yeah, they had a conversation before. When he was committing.
Harold Greer, I think Hugh Freeze didn't even plan anything for Kentucky. The writing was on the wall. Looked like he knew there was no offensive plan. Need a different contract set up for the next head coach. So somebody else was saying this in the comments. And one thing I'm going to be clear about, no coach worth a crap is going to ever sign a contract that does not include significant buyout language, because that's just the nature of the way that not only these coaches, but these agents are setting these contracts up. If you're going to find a coach that is worth anything at a university at the caliber of Auburn, there's going to be buyout language. And that protects both the university and the coach. And they're not going to agree to some offset language if they get hired away from your school, but not get any concessions if they get fired from your school. Yeah. That's just the nature of how these contracts are. And I don't see anybody bucking that trend just to come to Auburn and be like, yeah, I just want to be here that bad that if you fire me because I don't do a good job, considering how tough Auburn's schedule is going to be year in and year out, that you could just fire me in a couple of years and move on to somebody else. Not happening. Scorpio in the squad says, I'm rolling tumors.
Yeah, look, man, I get after seeing what I saw last night after the game, I get this sentiment. I'm telling you, never got this bad under Harsin. Man, this is how fed up people were.
And it got bad, but my God, you managed to do worse.
Yeah, I'm telling you, what we saw, the scene last night of people staying in the stands just to chant "Fire Hugh," tens of thousands. It was unreal. And so I was like, yeah, why aren't these people leaving? And then the Fire Hugh, and then the band tried to kick up to drown them out. They were like, no, we gonna be heard. It was a wild scene last night. And I think that it points to how well they did recruiting, because it brought high expectations. And when they weren't met, people were very, very frustrated that they were doing so little. Like, I think people can stomach close losses, but scoring 3 points in a whole P4 football game against one of the worst defenses in the league, unacceptable.
The term "so close yet so far away" applies in this regard.
Yeah, these kids offensively lost trust in this coach, and he had not figured out that he still needed to build equity, and he needed to build confidence with this team and him. There was a lack of relationship building from him to the players, and he got, in some ways you're being a CEO, but he wasn't doing the things, CEO type things in the time that he would normally be doing other normal head coaching stuff. Again, we got a lot of comments to get through, but we'll get to it in a second.
Connor Hall says, I think Hugh was pressing. He's a bit of a thinker. Poor Peyton. Yikes. Y'all must have just had these in the drafts waiting. I was like, I'm going to take all these things he's been saying and we're going to flip them back around on him. This is wonderful. Brandon Carter, Mike's screen name says, I'm the juggernaut, B.
I love that meme.
Can we have a call-in show to express our support for the players? Maybe it could help if they know fans still believe in them. I like that idea. Maybe we'll figure out how to organize that. And let's, and we still have a ton of comments. I don't want to get too far aside to this, but I do want to stop just because you mentioned that there, Nina, and say 100%. Mike has already said this earlier, so let me just echo this. Please show up these last few games for those players and let them know the support that you have is for Auburn and them. It was not about Coach Freeze ever. It was always about them and their hope that he would do what he needed to do for them. So they need to see that and showing up in the way that Auburn always does and cheer them on for these last few games of the season. I expect to see a lot of you all in Nashville. They'll need those support this weekend, and hopefully that is what they will get. Franklin, so who's going to call plays now? Don't know. I mean, I would assume Derek Nix and company are having that conversation as we speak about figuring out what the play calling duties are going to look like.
I'm actually working on that as we speak.
Debbie Norton says, thoughts on keeping the roster together. We kind of already talked a little bit about this. I think that there's a lot of dependencies on that. I think that, so let me say this again, and this is something that Mike's talked about already as well. From conversations that we have with players, most of them love Auburn. They don't really want to leave.
Nobody wants to leave here. Yeah.
But they'll leave if they have to.
Yeah.
If the choice is stay here and be miserable or go somewhere and realize my NFL dream, they're going to pick their dream. But if the right situation pops up, they'll stay in Auburn because they like being in Auburn.
Yeah.
To a man, there is not a single player who I've spoken with. Mike, I'll let you speak for the people who you've spoken with who have walked out of the door, who that wasn't an immensely difficult decision to decide to hit the transfer portal and leave Auburn because they absolutely loved Auburn University.
Yeah.
And we've talked about plenty of times how players commit to coaches and not schools. They committed to the coach and fell in love with the school when they got here. And so it was so difficult for them to make the decision to leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stephen Neely gifted 10 memberships. Thank you so much for that. Black Wing says, thoughts on the Memphis head coach. Memphis head coach. They got a good head coach. I don't know. We'll see. Antonio Smith, we need to find a young NFL coach who wants to improve into head coach. So you mean a coordinator in the NFL that wants to improve into a head coach, or like a Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman's a little difficult because he was already there, right? So it's not really the same thing, but understood, somebody who hadn't coached before who has a lot of good potential. I like Rhett Lashley at Auburn with Durkin as DC. Rhett Lashley, similar to Cignetti, just signed a huge extension. Feels unlikely that he's leaving SMU at this point in time. Kenneth Hall, unfortunate side effect. Kalen DeBoer is benefiting from our dysfunction. It's eerily similar to how Coach Tubbs benefited from a dysfunctional UA. Cleveland, the way things have gone with what Hugh has said, you would think we were in the worst version of the movie Groundhog Day. Did sound like a lot of repetition at the press conferences about where the program is and things that he wanted to do. So, but when you go out there and you lose every game, a lot of the conversations are going to be very similar. I'll be in Nashville supporting these guys, says Coop, the creator. Ben Bloodworth, Hugh Freeze barely showed up for his Jack's hamburger commercial. I guess the Hugh Normus Freeze with cheese is discontinued. I don't know. Like, y'all remember when Bo left and he still had to go on that weekly radio show because it was part of like an NIL deal that he had? So I don't know how long the Hugh Normus with cheese is supposed to be on the menu contractually, but I'm assuming Jax could pull that at any point in time when it didn't make sense for them. Bo Wallace warned us, kinda. Bo Wallace is still kind of full of it. Darius Lee, the next coach has to be it. I'm tired of this. I think everybody is right there with you on this, Darius. We are wanting the next coach to be the coach of the foreseeable future and leading Auburn into championship contention on a annual basis rather than luck up on it every now and then and people get content with just barely arriving there. Lance Morgan, and I will turn it over to you, Mike G. Please, not Knicks. Supposedly he's been calling plays this. No, Lance.
No, he has. He's not been calling plays at all. Yeah,
you are misinformed.
Yeah. I'm working on the play calling right now, guys.
It's probably going to be
Dillingham. Fire Freeze has officially changed his name to Hire Dillingham. I'll go with this for now. Ike like Summerall too. All right,
Dillingham is at his alma mater, right? Didn't he graduate from Arizona State?
Yeah, and that's kind of a problem with some of these names that are getting thrown out there. Some of these coaches aren't like Georgia Tech's coach at his alma mater. Who was the other coach that somebody was saying? There was somebody else recently that people were talking about. I was like, he's coaching his alma mater. I don't think he really wants to leave there. So we'll see what happens with that stuff. Got another one here from a member chat here. PT or Daniels or Jackson it was his system. It's a little bit of both, but yes, his system did not help him out. Vandy's coach. Yeah, that was the other one. Clark Lee at his alma mater. So like, I think a lot of people are underestimating how much these guys like the fact that they're in positions to help the schools in which they graduated from or were significant contributors to when they were in school be better rather than trying to take what we perceive to be a better job because that's not what it is for everybody. So, all right. So, Mike, you can give people some story. I would love it if you would save some of this for the Green Name Gang. So, you know what I'm saying? Just give people like a teaser right now.
There are a couple that I'm choosing here. I shared a little bit on the live last night while I was crashing out hard. So to anybody who was offended by my language, I apologize. I was having a moment, fandom here. So we are fans, but we are professionals as well. So I want to apologize to anybody who was offended by my forwardness of thought last night. But one thing that stood out in the statement again, when he says, Coach Freeze is a man of integrity, Cohen said that in his statement. I think what you're going to see is a lot of players come out and contest that notion. So one of the stories that I had was last year after Auburn beat Texas A&M in like 4 OTs. I asked Coach for, every once in a while, I'll throw him a softball of a question in a press conference. And it was a win. But there were some things that were imperfect in that game. But I said, hey, you know what? Let's celebrate the win. Can you reflect on your time as head coach and QB? This is the biggest win you guys have had together. Coach Freeze went on to tell this story about how, Peyton and I talk all the time about, what it takes to win and, the things that you go through and you have to persevere through, what people say about you online. That conversation never happened. He made that up. That conversation never happened. And I was in my head, I was like, why would you lie about something like that? But the other side of the said, we don't talk. That conversation never happened. 2 weeks ago, when we played Missouri, after the game, Coach Freeze said that Alex McPherson came to him and said, hey, I'm sorry, Coach, I lost the game for you. Remember this? I lost the game for you, and I apologize. I'm going to do better. I'm paraphrasing him. That conversation never happened.
Alex said it did.
He backed him up. He backed him up after he put it out there. But he was told that conversation never happened. Coach jumped the gun and told this story to the media. about it. Alex is like, all right. Multiple stories of him, I don't know, like telling lies in situations where I did not understand what is the purpose of that. Why do you need to say that? But no one wants to go against their head coach. What is he going to do in that situation? He's not going to come out and say, "Oh, he lied. He made that up." But you get asked about the things that the coach says, and it's really, really unfortunate. I just did not understand. You know, former players told stories of a coach who was absent and not present at times where normal head coaches are present. So, you know, I went on Feinbaum at Media Days, and Feinbaum asked me a simple question. He said, how do you change the narrative from golfing and all these other things to football? And I said, well, you got to win. Because when you're not winning, all these other storylines, they stick, whether you like them or not. And they just kept sticking and sticking and sticking. And and these guys are hearing the things that their coach is saying publicly, and they're coming to me and they're either saying, Mike, that is a complete distortion of the truth, or that didn't happen at all. But nobody can figure out why he would say that. Now, you guys heard me tell the story of 4th and 2 at Georgia. So if you missed last night's live, I'm going to tell it again. That play on 4th and 2 at Georgia last year was a play that Coach Freeze added to the call sheet late in the week. Peyton Thorne caught it and said, hey, I don't think this is going to work, versus the fronts that we're going to see from Georgia. What do you guys want me to do? How do I audible out of this? You know, we got to come up with a contingency. The coaches who were in that meeting, because Peyton Thorne says he's never had a coach on any level that did not show up to QB meetings, whether they were an offensive or defensive coach. But Hugh wasn't coming to their QB meetings. And the coaches who were in that meeting said, we're going to take your concerns to coach and we'll get back to you. Nobody got back to him. And then in the most critical part of the game, the head coach calls a play that he added that they had not practiced all week. Jarquez was confused at the mesh. And nobody knew what to do. And then in the aftermath of that game, that's why they were pointing the finger at each other. Peyton feels frustrated because he called it out. And Coach Freeze said, well, the play I called is the play I called. But if you had been in the meeting, maybe y'all would have been on the same page. That was the time, especially if it was something you put in late and you hadn't practiced it. At least talk it through. They had not even talked it through. So he felt very frustrated and betrayed by his head coach throwing him under the bus when he wasn't there in the planning. Player after player, I asked the question, tell me about your relationship with Coach Hugh Freeze. And player after player says, I don't have one. He's not here. He's always recruiting. How the hell are these guys playing for you and you don't have a relationship with any of them? For real. He certainly tried to sell in the media that he had these close relationships, but almost every single person he told a story about refuted that to me and said, we don't have a relationship. I don't barely talk to him. I don't understand. When he first arrived on the plains, we did it. We on the fireside. I just kind of awkwardly moved on from it when we did our our wide receiver fireside. Hey guys, give us some Coach Hugh Freeze-isms. We're trying to learn. You know, I'm thinking that they're going to give us some fun, quirky stuff about Coach Freeze. They said we don't talk to him. I'm like, wait, these are presumably your starting wide receivers. What do you mean you don't talk to him? All he talks about is receivers. Who had a relationship with this guy? Peyton didn't. He started the quarterback for almost 2 years here. So if he didn't, who did? Quez didn't. Damari clearly didn't. He didn't trust him. and there was a fear in the program that if you spoke up, you would be retaliated against. So people stayed quiet. I have to imagine that some of this started actually trickling up to John Cohen as the losses started to stack up, because he could not continue to explain away the losing week after week. There was something fundamentally and foundationally wrong with this program, and it started with the head coach. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There were some things going on inside the building I just did not understand. I was like, I don't understand. There should be an investigation going on. So, for what it's worth, I don't think that I'm not here trying to make Hugh Freeze some kind of supervillain. But the words that were being used to describe him from this offseason to date were lazy, fraud, and coward. Those three adjectives kept coming up over and over again. The lazy part was really what was killing me. Now, a lot of people will say, okay, it's when we I don't know if his health issues, Ike, were actually affecting him more than he was letting on. But when I sat down with him one-on-one, I asked him, and he said, I'm not currently experiencing any symptoms. This is something that we just caught super early because my doctor saw something in my blood tests that he thought was odd, and they decided to check it. And as a matter of fact, they caught it so early that the wifey, she tells me all the time, she says a lot of guys will put that surgery off 5 or 6 years. That's how early they caught it. So he would not be experiencing any symptoms. So when people are saying this and this about his health, if I'm taking him at his word, his health was not actually affected in any of the time since we learned this. So as far as I know, that wasn't an excuse. So that wasn't an excuse for what we were seeing. It's hard. Like, again, there's more to share. I'm going to detail a lot of this in the article, and if you're Green Name Gang, you'll get a lot of this. But I want to be respectful of the people who shared with me because they're worried. Coaching is a very small circle, it's a very tight fraternity, and when one coach decides to ostracize a player, it can have a detrimental effect on the rest of your career. And no one talks about it. So no, these guys aren't going to come out and openly oppose the things that he's saying, but I think that speaks to the boldness of the power that he felt like he held. I can go up here and openly lie, and they're not going to contest me or they'll back me up. Wow. I don't understand it. But then on the other side of the ball, what I'm hearing is a guy who is definitely a hard ass to the extreme and has been reeled in by his assistant coaches for maybe being a little bit too over the top. But he cares about what he's doing, and he wants you to do the right things. And while he is an extremist in every sense of the word, he is still open to feedback and change.
And I think to be a good coach, you kind of have to be that way. Yeah, I don't know that there is a good head coach that doesn't kind of have a little bit of what we've heard about DJ Durkin and how strict he is and how maniacal, I guess is a good word. It sounds crazy, but maniacal he is about the details and how much he drives for precise perfection about what he wants to have done. That's kind of the nature of a good coach. And that's also the reason why he got in trouble at Maryland. He was just pushing a little too hard, right, in certain scenarios. So hopefully he's learned to put a governor switch on some of that stuff. And it seems as if he's got guys around him who are willing to hold him accountable to that stuff, that he respects enough to listen to that. Yeah. And so that's a huge thing to see a guy who's willing to accept accountability from people who he trusts that are on his staff with him and showing growth over a time in which he's done some things that got him in trouble previously. And I don't know what more you really can ask from a guy. Again, and this is not the Ike Jones, I want DJ Durkin as the next head coach speech, but this is I believe in DJ Durkin enough to know that I trust what, and listen, don't trust what I think about a head coach, because clearly I don't know what the F I'm talking about. But Durkin seems like he's a good guy, and I at least have enough internal knowledge of Durkin. Like, I was thinking maybe on coach, I at least know Durkin enough from what I've heard from people who are surrounded by him. I've seen his results here at Auburn enough to be able to trust that. So, yeah,
Durkin is an imperfect human being, but he's a really good football coach that knows how to teach.
Yeah.
And his tutelage has clearly paid off for a lot of these guys. Think about this. There are names that we weren't talking about in the preseason that are suddenly stars on this Auburn defense. They are loaded.
Yeah.
You know, was Sylvester Smith a guy that we were talking about preseason? For real?
No,
real?
in fact, Sylvester was a guy I was worried about.
He's all over the place, making big hit after big hit this year.
Yeah.
Somehow, when there's a big hit happening on the Auburn defense, Sylvester Smith is somewhere in the area.
Yeah, he essentially turned him into what Keontae Scott was before he decided he wanted to be an outside corner. Like, I don't know how he made the transformation into the 2023 version of Keontae Scott, but he has turned into that kind of guy for this defense this year.
Xavier Atkins is another name. Like, didn't see him coming out of left field like that.
Yeah, I can live with the imperfect nature of Durkin, as long as he has people around him that he'll trust, that he'll listen to, right? Yeah. You know, another story that I want to tell about Durkin, right, was, you know, he was having an intense moment at practice where he got checked by a staffer about how he was talking to a student athlete. And the message was very simple. It's like, would you talk to your child that way? Durkin stopped in his tracks. I think he was so taken back by the staffer saying this. And he said, you know, I would. He said, then why would you talk to somebody else's child like that, even though you're trying to coach them hard? It's a better way to get your message across, coach. Durkin came back to said staffer and said, that's some of the best advice I've ever gotten in my entire career. I appreciate that. And the change in him after that moment was noticeable. To me, that's a very small character thing that I think matters. You could take that in that moment, not be immediately defensive, right? And you trusted someone enough that was beneath you, but had the guts to stand up to him and say, that's not right. And then he listened. I respect that. I get it, man. Like, you know, what's the thing that's inside him that maybe got him in a little trouble at Maryland? He just, you know, his maturation journey is about checking that. But you, as a leader, you need people around you that you trust and will listen to. And there are, as far as I know, there were only 2 guys on this current staff that would challenge Coach Freeze. They're consistently at odds with him. There were only 2 guys who felt comfortable enough to step. I don't even know if comfortable would be a good word, to step up and say, you know what, coach, I don't agree with you. Y'all know that's primarily why Cadillac got out of here. All that stuff about the club and that wasn't why they let him go. That was the excuse that they used to push him out the door. But he was a man with his own thoughts about this program. And they were scared the shit of Cadillac because he was popular with the players. So rather have somebody on the staff who could potentially be more popular than you and is questioning you. They said, you know what? You got to go. And the first opening they got to get him out of here, they used it. Now, if you're Cadillac, maybe you got to be a little bit more diplomatic about your dissent in some way. I will, I'll give them that. We've all worked in a corporate environment. You know, when your boss do something you don't like, you can't just come out and be like, you an idiot. That'll end you on the unemployment line quick. But, you know, there was a control factor to this coach where you are overly controlling things while actively not filling the gap with the things that you're controlling, and they just weren't getting done. And the results of it are being seen every single Saturday when the offense stalls against defenses. Like, I mean, I pointed this out after the A&M game, and you were hot about it. You said everybody's been running the ball on A&M. Why didn't we run the ball on? Why couldn't we run the ball on A&M? That is fun. Like, the coach is not showing up. I had an issue. Like, too many people were using the word lazy in my interviews when they were talking about Coach Freeze. And I'm telling you, I took it with a grain of salt at first. I just kind of wrote it off and was like, all right, like, but look at all the talent he got here. So he spent a lot of time recruiting. Hopefully he finds some people he can delegate other things to. But the idea that you would just go out and recruit talent so good that you could half-ass the weekly, daily processes was wild. And if the head coach is doing that, what do you think the players are doing? Do you think they're practicing to the max when he's got to make his stand in 1:30 tea time?
Yeah, I don't want to question the players' effort. But I do think that having a lot of effort and moving in directions that is unorganized is still not going to be helpful. And so I think the problem, again, when you're talking about cultural issues, and this is why for me, and I'm not going to excuse all of the player stuff just because Coach Freeze was poor. You have to have really good player leadership in the absence of where your coach isn't there. Auburn didn't have that as well. But that doesn't excuse, again, one does not excuse the other. Coach Freeze has to be the backstop for all of that. Players have to have some of their own accountability. And at the end of the day, it's not going to work if you don't have either. And Auburn didn't have either. And that's just the point. That's the bottom line of all of this.
Yeah, but you got to produce leaders, because they're not just going to come in and know how to be leaders.
Cam Newton came in the door as a leader. Nobody produced
but most kids are learning that behavior. They never had that.
I said that's not an absolution of Coach Freeze. You're missing portions of my statement to be mad at another portion of it. I didn't say that. I said that that's not an absolution of Coach Freeze. I said that you don't have either. Yes, agreed. I am agreeing with you.
Yeah, I don't know. In my mind, I'm just thinking you've got a lot of kids who have come in and they're looking for direction, and the adults in the room are supposed to be the thing that point you in that direction. And absent of that, the chances of you just developing that are slim to none if you don't already come from an environment where if you had that strong leadership at home from mom and dad or whatnot. Like when these parents turn their kids over to a coach, right? Like, a lot of these players, single mother homes, they've never had strong male leadership in their life. It's just, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I just think that the bigger onus is so much on the other side. It's not even worth talking about how these players were missing leadership. They had no chance. They hadn't have a shot.
We can disagree whether it's worthy of talking about. All right, Let me get back into these super chats. Chris says, PT or Daniels or Jackson, it was his system. I think we talked about that one already. Definitely the system was not helping those guys out at all. Chess Rockwell, who does Mike Ike and C-Dub want to at least be considered for the job? I think DJ Durkin deserves consideration.
I do. I like Summerall. I would be open to John Summerall.
I'm open to Summerall. I'm open to him. I think the coach at USF is interesting too.
Did you see Caesar, did you see the interview that Summerall gave on after a game recently, talking about Tulane and his process and the players, and like, man, he had me psyched up, man. I would play for that guy. When I was filming for Auburn Football, I remember my first drill I ever filmed was DB fundamentals, where they were just kind of doing like backpedaling drills. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to Gene Chizik like coach these guys on just the fundamentals of football. And it was incredible. I wanted to put down my camera and try out for the team. He was a highly inspirational guy that knew how to speak to the core players, which is why I think he found so much success as a defensive coordinator. It didn't necessarily work out for him as a head coach, but man, he had, like, some coaches have that special thing in to be able to articulate words to motivate players to get the best out of them. And offensively, I hope they find a guy who could do that. And that's what I heard. That's what I heard from Summerall when I heard him speak. I was like, "Ooh, man, he got some cooking there."
Yeah.
I think Summerall has been on a lot of people's hot boards here. And
Another name that's been mentioned. I mean, I don't know, but I'm always interested to see. You always have the Will Muschamps of the world, but I bring him up because he was a defensive coordinator under Nick Saban. But guys who have been with successful coaches for a while. So that brings me to Georgia's defensive coordinator. I've heard people mention him.
Schumann.
Yeah, so that will be an intriguing, interesting person there. So guys who have been under a guy, another defensive guy, and seen how he's run his program and run it well, those are intriguing options to me.
Yeah, I think it's I don't know, man. A lot of names out here. It's going to be very interesting considering how many big jobs are available. I'd still say that of the jobs that are available, LSU and maybe Penn State are the only ones that I think should even compete with Auburn for a top candidate. Outside of that, the rest of these jobs should not be able to hire a candidate that's better for Auburn than Auburn does. Should be able to. Harold Greer says, never apologize, Mike G. We feel you. Right there with you, and thanks for the excellent coverage and insight with the team. War Damn Eagle, looking forward to the next steps. That was in you apologizing for the profanity. Steph Terrell says, let's go after Brian Hartline, Ohio State's offensive coordinator. I think that would fall into the mode of what you were talking about, C, as far as like just having a good coaching pedigree, but again, never been a head coach. He literally, I think this is his first year as offensive coordinator as well. He was the wide receivers coach for a long time there, but he definitely has the ability to get good players in. And if he's calling the plays for Ohio State, I haven't been paying attention to Ohio State's offense. Are they like doing really well offensively this year?
They're doing pretty good. But I guess the thing here is he's only known Ohio State.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like you've had success at P4, but you're coming down to the SEC, a place you're not familiar with, recruiting in the area you're not familiar. You know what I mean? It's just it's I don't know.
Darius Lee, I apologize to PT. Hard on him for the disaster that Hugh was. Don't like how he did a DA either. Speaking of Damari Alston, Hugh is slimy, so dysfunctional.
Peyton Thorne did an amazing job handling himself as diplomatically as he did for as many disagreements as he had with his head coach. Like, I mean, he held it in, and like, I mean, I think that he came off a certain way to a lot of people, but internally he was dealing with so much. And, you know, sometimes, you know, when something's on your mind and you're walking around and you got like resting bitch face, but nobody knows what's going on up here. And like, you know, people thought, you know, Peyton Thorne was one thing, but the truth is he was very likable to me. And, you know, in the times that I got to spend time with them and sit down with them, you know, it was easy to understand why he came off the way he did to a lot of people based on what he was dealing with during his time at Auburn.
Chris Wilson says, always remember Freeze fits the Auburn culture, so they say. Listen, when we're talking about fit, a lot of it has to do with the word that kept getting thrown around from the very first moment that Coach Hugh Freeze got hired, and that's alignment. And that alignment was shown with the way the dollar started flowing back into the football program the minute he took over. So the fit was there from that standpoint, but the other portion that is what is the portion that I agree with from Cohen's little spiel here is the standard fit, right? Like, you need to come in the door ready to compete, not just recruit. And unfortunately, he came in the door like he was the head of Auburn recruiting, not the head of Auburn football. And those are two different positions. If you're going to show up here and recruit really well and get the talent in the door, great. Who's going to coach them?
Right.
And then if you're going to hire coaches who are going to coach them, let them coach.
Right.
Or get out of the way. And he refused to do either. Again, that is mind-blowing. If you don't want to be there in the meetings, why show up later and overrule?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Stuff that was happening in meetings that you weren't at.
That's just chaos. You're just chaotic at that point.
It makes no sense.
You're just being chaotic at that point.
Like, you literally are just walking around the building, tossing grenades into rooms, and then walking away. What? Are we being for real?
Yeah.
That's dumb. Antonio Smith, I wonder how DJ feels. My defense is great, but no offense. Listen, you feel like he's doing his job. He's earning his paycheck.
Yeah, it's his offense now.
Hey,
head coach, man, he inherited it.
I'm just curious what happens here. Like, does he pull a Petrino and let some people go? Like, you know what I mean? I'm curious to see what happens.
I think that's an interesting question, whether or not he decides, listen, you haven't been doing good enough over here. Or, I mean, those conversations literally have to be happening at this very moment or over the last hour of what's the plan going to be and who does he want to be his offensive coordinator and lead that charge going forward. All of that's got to be happening literally right now.
Yeah.
Ants for OC says the defense called the offense babies. I mean, they were definitely taking care of them like some babies. So, Cleveland Brown says, in hindsight, his reaction to Mike G's accountability question weeks ago feels less like I'm going to do right by Auburn and more like I don't know what to do, but leave me alone. I said this, and I don't know if you were on the show when I said this, Mike. A lot of Coach Hugh Freeze's responses to things, to me, and this is amplified by what you just told in these stories. So let me say this. And I've actually people talk to me all the time about Mike G doesn't know what he's talking about, blah, blah. I'm like, listen, I promise you, we have conversations with people in this building. And when Mike says something out here, this ain't just one person said it. So we decided to we confirm this with multiple people before we're like, dang, that kind of paints a picture, right? When you are in situations like what has been happening with Auburn right now, I said this, Coach Hugh Freeze always felt like he was saying what he felt like needed to be said in the moment, not necessarily what he believed in the moment. So when Mike presses him about accountability, and whether you want to believe this or not, I'm telling you what I know, people on the coaching staff actually watch our show. You can say I'm being cocky and just saying, I can tell you what I know. People on the coaching staff and people in the Auburn athletic department watch this show. And so when Mike G comes on here and he says things about like, I didn't like the coach's demeanor and he didn't show me any fire in that last press conference. And then the first question Mike asks, and with no one else, he doesn't have this same kind of fiery retort. To me, it feels like, oh, you want to see some fire? Here's some fire for you. And because that's what Mike G wanted to see, I got that for him. No problem. You want to see fire? I can do fire. But you want to see some new wide receivers in here? I can go get some wide receivers. Oh, you want me to go get a high profile quarterback? I can go get a high profile. No problem. He ain't fast talking like Jimbo, but he's the same car salesman. I think he says what he needs to say or he feels he needs to say in the moment, not necessarily what he believes. Is this what you want to hear? Great. I can do that. You want me to go up here at a press conference and say a guy who has been a team leader didn't meet the standards of the program because that fits what we have to do from a legal standpoint to make sure he doesn't get his NIL? Sure. No problem. I don't believe it, but I'll say it. Again, don't take my word for it. It's fine. But I think the evidence would point in the direction of that. Steph Trail, we need to get Brian Hartline, Ohio State OC. So it's another person in favor of Hartline. Alabama Prep, apologies if you had some other thing attached to this, but there was no message here. But thank you for the super chat. Try to see if we can grab it later. Anthony Long. So what offensive changes can we expect in the Vanderbilt game that could lead to a win? I don't know the answer to that because I don't know who's going to be leading the offense yet. I'm sure, guarantee you, tomorrow, press conference, DJ Durkin, if it's not the first question, it will be like it might need to just be a part of his. if they don't release that as a
who's your quarterback, all of that
like
stuff.
if it's not the first question, he needs to do it as his initial address. Hey, thank you guys for coming in here. Just wanted to say I'm announcing blah blah blah. Like that stuff may come out in the next few hours anyway, but it will definitely be addressed very early in the press conference tomorrow. But yeah, I have no idea to answer this one. No excuses. No excuse.
There you go. Yeah.
Excuses. I got you. Putting the Mike G stories behind the green name paywall after promising them to the entire viewership is bogus. He just told you the stories. What are you saying? He said he was going to write an article giving you all of them. He was going to give you some of them right now, and he's going to get into more details. I understand this is business, but your audience deserves to hear everything.
Yeah, you guys will get the whole story. Don't worry. Like I said, there's some work I have to do to make sure that everybody who
is protected.
Yes. I'm telling you, there's a dirty world out here where the things you say can come back to bite you. And so, as far as sources are concerned, I love that we get to have this talk with our listeners. When you have legitimate sources, the trail between who said what is very, very short. Because the I don't know, the circle around that information is so tight that there's only a few people that could have leaked it. Right. And it's very easy to trace back. Like, some of the people who I talk to when I'm in the stadium, I don't even like to be seen with them. Because I don't want people assuming, oh, well, I see him talking to such and such coach all the time, so that must be the person that told him. Yeah,
this has literally already been a problem where someone assumed we got a certain bit of information from a particular place, and then it went back and got back to that person, and they got in trouble, and that's not even where we got the information from.
Yeah. They just linked us to this person because we have a relationship. And I'm like, I don't. So it is. I have to do this carefully. Like there are aspects of journalism to what we do at times, and so making sure you adhere to journalistic standards when you're quoting sources and stuff is very, very important to me. So I don't want to get anybody in trouble, and I want to be accurate, and I want to share as much as I can with you guys. But I also want to be fair to the people who want me to have the insights. So I've said this before. When you hear us beating a certain drum, but we're not saying where it came from, just you got to know it's not coming from nowhere. Like I said, that is something came to us and we've corroborated it with like 9 or 10 different people. And then said, okay, now we feel comfortable speaking on this. And sometimes even that comes out as this is my perspective on this. But those perspectives are built on real conversations that we have with people inside and around the program.
And you want to continue to get the information from those sources. So you have to be responsible with what you hear.
I ain't gonna tell you that.
Right. So give us grace on that.
Yeah.
Because we're working things though.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I appreciate the comment from the commenter. I don't want to write off what he said about like hiding stuff behind the paywall, because I understand that a lot of the other Auburn outlets do that, right? You got to subscribe to their board, and like we've never really been that way. Like our Green Name Gang on Saturdays is more about making that experience positive for Auburn fans. Not really, it's not meant to be exclusionary. But there's a cost to things, and we are running a business. But yeah, we operate a little differently than they do, because I feel like a lot of the message boards, they serve only their message board people. 99% of everything we do is free. Maybe 95%. I don't know. Ike does a lot of the paywall stuff, but I'm telling you, like the day-to-day, your Auburn Expresses, your lives, like all this stuff is just free. It's out there for you guys to consume. So we'll continue to make sure that you can consume as much of it, whether you're Green Name Gang or not. If you are listening, you are part of our community. So I appreciate that comment. I don't want him to feel like, hey, like, he's being, you'll hear it. I'm still putting it together. I was a little taken back by it today because I've been building this for like 8 months. I've been putting together this story, right?
You have been talking about this for a while.
Yeah. And there's been just because information keeps coming in, and it's an incomplete picture, and now it's starting to come more into full view. So
that's crazy.
If you go to the website, you'll be able to read it in its entirety. If you're Green Name Gang, you may get it in the form of a live where we talk, but there'll be some form for you to consume those stories, I promise.
Nina jumps back in. Thoughts on issues with first season offense being offense cause being Philip Montgomery.
Yep.
A lot of the same.
That's one of his stories. That has to be one of the stories. That has to be one of the stories, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, listen, let's be clear. The issues were more power struggle than they were play calling. I mean, that's as plain as I can put that. Without...
Which is why I heard people say, well, just keep Hugh Freeze and make him give up offense to an OC. Kind of did that.
Yeah, I've told you guys a little bit of the Philip Montgomery story, but again, I'll go into greater detail there. I got a chance to speak with him, and I'm telling you, his characterization of how that went down that first year it's just mind-boggling. Him and Freeze never had a chance to work with each other the way Freeze is currently. It just wasn't going to work. And so, this is why I don't get wanting to operate the way he did, but then putting your hands in things halfway in and halfway out of things. It was causing chaos. And you would have been better off just letting Philip Montgomery run the offense. Recruit, be the CEO, do the things that you clearly are spending your time on, and if you don't have people around you can trust and delegate to, what are you doing? There is a growing conversation nationally about if it is possible to be a team's primary play caller and be a national champion. There are no examples of that. The Lane Kiffins, the Steve Sarkisians, gifted offensive minds, but they ain't winning natties. I'm sure one day it will happen, but it will be the exception and not the rule. It is really difficult to do in today's college football.
Wallace Rivers says, I think Auburn is a top job. Fans show up. NIL is crazy. Team is stacked. Should be easy to get a coach. I don't know about how easy it's going to be, but
easy to get a coach. Easy to get the right coach.
Right.
Yeah.
And let's not. Again, there's a reason why there are very few programs who consistently compete for championships, because this is actually not an easy thing to do. Hiring the correct coach for your school that is also a school that can compete for a title, not easy.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult.
I think people think that's, oh man, you just got to, it ain't
science.
Bro, there's a reason why the same programs win over and over and over again, because they figured this process out a little bit better, and then they retain those coaches. It's just not an easy thing to do, man. And that's why there's big droughts when they lose the guy who's the guy a lot of times with these programs.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're going to be able to hire someone. Whether that person's going to be the right person, we'll see. The grenade quote was on point, Ike.
It was definitely on point.
Rick Cazenave, at age 45 to 47, not 20s or 30s, Coach Hugh Freeze demonstrated immaturity at Ole Miss. At 54 to 56, stories confirm he is older at Auburn, not more mature. Over under on Coach Hugh Freeze versus Damari's maturity would be a tough bet. And so this is something that, and because I'm a person who absolutely believes in giving people grace, it's difficult for me to try to put my worldviews on other people's situations. But this is absolutely something I believe in real life, is that, and I'm not the only, I didn't create this saying, but the saying is, how you do one thing is how you do everything. When you are a person who routinely makes bad decisions, which unfortunately it seems as if Coach Freeze is that kind of person who routinely makes bad decisions, bad decision making will manifest itself in different ways. It manifested itself in one way when he was at whatever the high school was he was at, Briarwood, whatever it was, where he was a high school coach. It manifested itself when he was at Ole Miss in a very different way. It manifested itself when he was at Liberty in a very different way, and it manifested itself at Auburn. And it's bad decision making and inability to kind of self-regulate his own accountability that is his problem. And whenever he gets it under control in this one area, it starts to manifest itself over in this other space. And that's just, it seems as if that's just kind of who he is as a person. That doesn't make him a bad person, but it does make him a bad football coach. And that's unfortunate. Chris says, if DJ don't get the head coach job, I hope whoever they bring keeps DJ. I mean, I would hope so too.
It's tough to hire a guy and then start dictating who he should or shouldn't hire. But I would look, if I were in the position to take the head coaching job, I would just look at the fact that this man was one of the most sought after assistant coach last season. Ohio State, we fought Ohio State off to keep DJ Durkin, but they wanted him. Ryan Day wanted him back in the fold bad. So yeah, you let him. You're interviewing for DCs. Why wouldn't you interview him? Right. I mean, and if he likes Auburn and he's already got his guys and he's built something, I think that he would be open to staying. But his
it makes sense if you hire an offensive guy too, right? For sure, it's tough. It's tougher if you hire a defensive guy because he's likely going to have assistants that work with him. But if it's an offensive guy, it makes sense. Go ahead.
Or Caesar, if you are understanding the current environment in college football, even if you're a defensive guy, you can't do both.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you've already got a guy who's doing it at a very high level, why not keep him? Just looking here at where Auburn ranks in the SEC, even though that game didn't do anything to hurt their defensive stats.
No.
So Auburn currently 4th in points allowed, 17.7 points per game after 9 games. Yeah. Holy crap. That's championship level scoring defense.
Yeah.
Rush yards allowed, 3rd in the SEC, 83.6 yards per game. Oklahoma, 82.4, barely ahead of Auburn. Texas, 78.7. The passing defense leaves a little bit be desired, but 226 yards. You're only giving up 309 yards per game on average. That is good enough to win championships.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're a defensive guy, you would have to give this dude a look.
Yeah.
You would have to.
Does Summerall call his own defenses? Or does he have a guy that called? I don't know what the deal is.
That's a great question. I would love to know the answer to that. But like I said, I mean, I would assume there's a huge difference between Tulane and Auburn in terms of all the things you're going to need to do. You're going to be required to do a lot of things, go to a lot of functions. You need guys you can delegate to and trust. And I think that DJ Durkin is a guy who the players would speak up for, even though he's a hard ass. And look at, man, he's going to get kids to the NFL this year.
I was impressed just how you talked about what system he had in place and how organized he was. I think that's the word you used, Mike. You talked about how organized he was. You need that in a head coach.
Detail oriented.
Yeah, you need that.
Yeah, man. The devil is in the details. The details matter so much. They were being missed offensively. Yeah. And where the details matter? They matter on 4th and 2 at the 50-yard line when the game is on the line.
For sure.
Because the theme of the week going into Auburn was a game of inches. It was literally their theme going into the Kentucky week. This is a game of inches. And you gave away those inches to Kentucky and you lost scoring only 3 points. When was the last time Auburn only scored 3 points in a game?
Had to be the Mississippi State game. Well, it could be more. It could be other games we got blown out in. Who knows?
I don't know. I mean, if I ask Chat GPT, you might have a hard time pulling that up. But I mean, we've seen some really bad offense over the last 6 or 7 years. I cannot remember when was the last time they scored only 3 points in a game.
Don't know the answer to that. While you're looking it up, Chris says if DJ doesn't get I just read that. My bad. One. Ben Bloodworth says looking forward to the semi-annual cross country Auburn ex-coach car repo. Start your engines. Stephen Neely, can we start a petition to get the War Rapport representative on the new head coach search committee?
Yeah.
Listen, again, I don't know if I need to be on that.
I don't need to be on there because yeah. Me and
But
I
clearly,
gonna
I
sit
don't
this
know
one
what the heck
out.
I'm talking about.
We gonna sit this one out. Maybe B Will or Mike.
Robert says DJ has a history with Florida 2010 to 2014. Y'all think Florida comes after him as head coach? I think a lot of places are going to come after DJ Durkin for some sort of thing, for somewhere. There's a bunch of coaches going to get hired that are going to need staff, and he will get offers all over the place. You'd be crazy not to, with the way that he has been coaching defenses at his last few stops and historically throughout his career. So, you know, hopefully Auburn is one of the places that also extends him an offer. New member here is Alfred. Also, Kenneth Marshall became a member.
Yeah, let's go.
Mr. Sip gifted 5 memberships.
Hey,
Appreciate that. ATL DC Tiger, new membership. Appreciate that. Joey Hagermaker. Appreciate the membership. And then Robert gifted 5 War Rapport memberships.
Yes,
a lot of Green Name Gang joining on. I don't know if I'm gonna do a film review. Maybe I'll do a defensive film review because I don't know that there's much that you want to see from this offense from that last game. So maybe we'll talk about the defense with the Green Name Gang this week. But I don't know what you can get from that offensive film this week other than vomit-inducing.
You can show the Cobb run, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So need a super chat. Look at the SI 10 coaches for AU.
Most are a no.
Sports Illustrated. Yeah. Most are a no. Nina is not a fan of any of them.
Lane Kiffin, Rhett Lashley, John Summerall, Alice Golish, Ryan Silverfield, that's Memphis head coach, Dan Mullen, Fran Brown, I guess, Syracuse head coach, John Gruden, got it. What's a list without John Gruden? James Franklin, Jimbo Fisher, really?
Looks like the last time Auburn only scored 3 points in a football game was 2021 versus Texas A&M. They lost that game 20-3. Texas A&M was ranked number 14, so that would have been Harson's first year.
I was about to say, I think that was
the beginning of the 5-game losing streak under Harsin. Before that, the last time Auburn scored 3 points in a football game was at Florida, 24-3 in 1998. So it's happened 2 other times since 1998. Before that,
it had to be what about the 3-2 game in Mississippi State?
Oh yeah, you're right. Wait, hold on. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, missed that one. So 3-2, 2008.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that was the Franklin year. Tubbs last year.
Yeah, it didn't happen often. It's like a once in a decade event. And so you are, man, that's those are really bad lows.
If Auburn hires Jimbo Fisher, I think B. Will may blow whatever little bit of a gasket he has left. He might come back on just for that show, just to like completely erupt.
Yeah, I don't know if they did that.
That would be terrible for his mental health.
For everybody's.
His especially.
He's washed up as a head coach in my opinion. I just think that there's the game has passed some guys by. I think Jimbo Fisher's on that list.
Ain't no way.
I'm praying for B. Will that it does not happen.
Yeah, I exactly. Oh my goodness.
All right. Is there anything else we want to say about this? We've been on here now for 2 hours talking about Coach Freeze, and there's still so much left to talk about with this between where Auburn goes next and
we got content all week. We got content we're gonna do all week on this.
We can still put out maybe like a top whatever lists. I'm gonna just keep it a buck, man. I'm tired of doing coaches search content, man. I'm tired of it. I want to do coach success content.
Yes.
So
I don't mind the coach search content because you guys eat that up, and I'm going to be hot on the trail on whoever they're after. This potentially is a very exciting time for Auburn. You get the right guy in here, and you hold this talent together. You don't have to rebuild. Right?
I'm looking for that.
No, man, they could next year we could see. Great things. And if I understand, that schedule next year is brutal.
It is.
It's a brutal schedule they're walking through 2026.
It's not as brutal as it's some people on that schedule, they're gonna have new coaches too, right? So still talented teams, tougher schedule than what it looks like here, but I don't know, man.
Georgia, Arkansas, Florida. Florida jumps back. LSU comes back on the schedule. Ole Miss comes back on the schedule. Mississippi State, Tennessee. That conference schedule is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So they got to get this. I mean, you're staring down at 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 conference games where these teams should be ranked coming into the season. So we get the Mississippi schools back and LSU back on the schedule, plus Florida and Tennessee. Wow, Andy, you got Georgia and Alabama. I love the challenge of that schedule. I like Auburn not playing LSU these last couple of years has just felt wrong. It's felt wrong. And I don't know. Did we get a chance to beat Brian Kelly? Like, did we beat Brian Kelly? I'm so mad we didn't get to beat him before he got fired. So, you're right. There are going to be some teams on the schedule with new coaches. Before we get out of here, I do want to say, I want to reiterate to fans and everybody. I mean, we've had over 1,500. I think it was almost 2,000 on peak here, and I appreciate everybody who joined. But man, show up for these players these last 3 games. They still have a chance to make a bowl game. They still have a chance to pull a huge upset on somebody. You still have the Iron Bowl, which will always mean something no matter the record. And you got Vanderbilt. Now, I know they went down to Texas, but that's still going to be, they barely lost that game by 3 points. That's still going to be hopefully a top 15 potential win. And these kids deserve it, man. They played their butts off all season for you. And, to the fans that stayed in the stands, just to chant, fire Hugh Freeze. Like, I get it. Show up and say, go DJ Durkin the next 3 weeks. Go Keldrick Falk. Go Jackson Arnold. Go Ashton Daniels. Go Jeremiah Cobb. Go Cam Coleman. Go Perry Thompson. Show these guys the love, because if there's anything that will help make the decision a little bit easier, it will be them seeing how incredible that environment can be no matter what the record is. A&M last year, boy, I'm telling you, it felt like the Super Bowl. We rushed the field. We rushed the field after we beat A&M last year. They deserve it. They played their butts off in that game. That win meant so much. And these last 3 games will mean a lot. You got Vanderbilt, you got Mercer, you got Kentucky. Last night was another incredible environment. Ike made this comment before the fourth quarter started. He was like, they're going to do the swag surf, but it don't feel right in this moment. And the lights went off and the fireworks were popping. Auburn is amazing. And the people behind it are amazing. And the players, I'm telling you, even though the results don't show it, they're amazing. Let's show them how amazing it can be for 3 more weeks. Let's move on. Put Hugh Freeze out of your mind. He's gone. He's taking whatever he got, whether it was the full buyout or half a buyout or whatever. He's gone. He's the past. Right now, DJ Durkin is the present. This defense is giving up 17 points a game. They're the present. This offense that has the potential to do what they did versus Baylor, they're the present. Show up for them, man. We got 3 more weeks in this season. If you have tickets, man, show up to the games. Fill those seats. Let's get behind this team for 3 more weeks. And let's show any potential coach who may come coach here how amazing it is to be a fucking Auburn Tiger.
Word.
There's nothing like it. Caesar, I my first choice of schools out of high school was Florida State. My parents said no to Florida State. That was God saving me from a lifetime of turmoil. Auburn was the place, man, for me. The War Rapport is living proof of it. This is an amazing place where we can have a show like this because of the community and the culture and the fans and the players. Not a lot of other places you can do this. I know I'm trying to build it in another community. It's hard.
Yeah.
But at Auburn, it's not that it's easy. Not what we've done is easy, but it's possible because of how amazing you, the fan, the listener, are every single week. I crashed out pretty hard last night, and I'm telling you, the level of crash out that you saw was equal to the level of greatness I feel that this program is capable of when you get the right people in the right spots. And my prayer for John Cohen is that he will make the right decision for the future of us all on this next coach. Now, I don't know if they're putting together a coaching searching committee or what, but I hope they learn from this hire and see past the things that led us here and get us to a place where there's somebody at the helm that gives a damn enough to do what Durkin is doing on defense. He's out there. So I don't know if it's John Summerall. I don't know if it's Kirk Cignetti. I know the people tasked with making the decision have to change their process somewhat because where we've gone the last three has not exactly been where we want to be. I appreciate everything that Gus Malzahn did for Auburn during his time here. Look, man, I know we joke about Gus a lot, but he put a lot of his own money, like he donated money to help build that performance center. A couple million, if I remember correctly. He was bought in. He loved Auburn, and his wife, I personally never met her, but the women in my life I know that have say she's one of the greatest people's ever lived. She cared about it. Oh my goodness. Like, you know, they say your better half to the T.
Yeah.
Right? Can we get someone in that cares and embraces and loves Auburn as much as he did, but is ahead of the game in terms of where the game is today? I think Saban retired at the right time. I don't know if you guys saw the articles floating around, but there was somebody floating around the idea that he could return to coaching at LSU. Oh, my goodness. Of all the things I do not want to see, because I think he would absolutely have a ton of success there. Right? He was building a monster before he left for the Miami Dolphins. I don't want to see him back in the SEC personally. But, man, Auburn, championships have been won here. Heismans have been produced here. Undefeated seasons have been had here. Top overall recruits have committed here. Auburn is a place where you can win, and you can win a lot. And you guys are a huge part of that. So don't take yourself out of the equation these next 3 weeks. You play a role in speaking life and positivity over this program for the next 4 weeks. I think we got another bye week. And let's try to help these boys get 3 more wins in the bucket. That puts you at 7-5, and it gives you some feel good and a basis for telling the players, hey, stick with us. We're going to go out and we're going to find you some offensive leadership. We're going to find you someone who cares about you and will get you where you need to go, and we're going to all go there together. We're all going to make the promised land together. This doesn't have to be a rebuild just because you're firing a coach. And I think that is one of the myths that's pervasive on social media right now. If we fire Hugh, we got to start all over. No, not necessarily. But it's going to take some really good decisions over the next few weeks. And I'm telling you, every dollar that they're getting in NIL from that moving that Baylor game to Atlanta, it's going to matter. Because you're going to need that. It's going to be a combination of making a good hire, making the right moves on the staff, and selling to the players what the future is, and dropping hella bags. You have to do it. You have to do it. Let's not undo everything that we've done here. You know, again, if you stayed and you chanted "Fire Hugh Freeze," I expect to hear you chanting just as loud for these boys the next 3 weeks. Go Tigers, the War Eagle, the next 3 weeks at the top of your lungs. It will make a difference. I'm telling you, it will make a difference.
And
So
I do think that the change is going to put some more life back into a lot of people who had decided they were not coming to Mercer, were not going to attend the Iron Bowl and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it starts this weekend with them. If they show any life on offense versus Vanderbilt, win or loss, I think that Mercer and that Bama game are going to be absolutely insane environments. And I absolutely am going to try to be there for both of those. Couple more super chats before we get out of here because they dropped in recently. Cleveland Brown gifted 5 more memberships. Thanks so much for that.
Appreciate that.
Felix says, thanks guys for the great show. I'm an Auburn fan. Felix has always been down. Appreciate you being here with us again. Nina jumps back in, says, hell no to Mullins, Gruden, Kiffin, and Fisher. And then T Blizz says CU versus Bama coming all the way from Italy. This is a record because this is our first super chat in foreign currency.
Euros? Is those euros?
Wow.
Wow.
So appreciate the super chats. Hey, listen, money spins all over the globe. We take it in whatever currency you got it. Thank you so much for that. That's it, man. Right now, I really want to queue up Swag Surf to take us out, but I don't want to get us demonetized. Mike G, take us out and tell the people how they can support the things we got going on here at the War Rapport.
Man, you guys know the deal. Sign up as a member of Green Name Gang. We appreciate you guys. And even if you're not Green Name Gang, we appreciate you guys. Again, your financial support helps keep the work that we're doing here going. So along with clicking like and subscribe, if you can sign up as a patron, $5.99 a month. I know that may be a lot to some people, may not be a lot to others, but every single one of these means a lot to us. We do not operate on nothing. So Ike is traveling to games, and we have things that we're building and all cost money. And when you guys sign up for memberships, these are like micro sponsorships of our channel to help make the work that we're doing here possible. So we appreciate you guys for signing up. Please help us out. I want to thank our title sponsor, Golden's Cast Iron. You can visit them at goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use the codes on the screen to get your Golden's Cast Iron products and your discounts. Longtime sponsors, we appreciate them. Also want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. You can find them at rogueshop.com. Use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop potentially has something that has you covered. We appreciate them for jumping in here with us. And last but certainly not least, I want to thank our friends at Sky Tobacco and Vape. They've got 4 convenient locations all over Columbus and even across the bridge in Phoenix City. So for all your vaping needs, the Sky Tobacco and Vape is near you wherever you're at. They're actually adding a 5th location. I had to get up here on the graphic, but we appreciate them for sponsoring the segment.
Appreciate everybody who is in here, who has done all of the great chatting for today. One more thing we ask you to do, share the content with somebody, like the video before you get out of here. We had over 2,000 people in here. 465 likes is paltry. Y'all tripping on that, but follow us at the War Rapport on X and Instagram, TW Rapport on TikTok. One more super chat. Cleveland Brown says, all in for Auburn. I accept Mike G's challenge. Hopefully a lot more people will do that as well. But that's it, man. We are out of here. We'll be back at you. So much more left to talk about. DJ Durkin takes the podium tomorrow for the first time as Auburn's interim head coach. Sure to be a great press conference. Make sure you are
wait for that.
Fresh questions, right, Mike?
Oh, yeah, I got all kinds of questions ready for this coach. He's amazing. I ran into him in the recruiting center like before the game, and I just was like, Coach, I'm a fan. I appreciate you. You're doing great work.
Yeah, so much more left to talk about this week, man. We're out of here. Until the next time, and as always, War Eagle.